A black woman walks past someone collapsed on a Seoul sidewalk. Doesn't even glance down. 3 seconds later, she's inside a restaurant, phone out, smiling, typing, fighting for the invisible. That woman on the sidewalk? A Korean billionaire. Wearing an $80,000 disguise. Recording everything. In 48 hours, that footage will destroy a wedding, expose a fraud, and ignite a firestorm across Seoul. But it started 3 months earlier. With a pair of dropped chopsticks. Park Seo-yeon watches her son's fiancée across the dinner table at Mingles, one of Seoul's most exclusive restaurants. The kind of place where reservations book 6 months out and a single meal costs what most people make in a week. Jasmine Reed sits across from her, laughing at something Min-ho just said. 29 years old. Columbia graduate. Runs a non-profit connecting black women in Korea. Her Korean is flawless, not just functional, but genuinely fluent, with the subtle honorifics and regional touches that take years to master. Her manners are impeccable. Her smile, radiant. Everything about her screams perfect. Too perfect. Their server approaches, a young woman who looks fresh out of training. Her name tag says she's been working here for 2 weeks. She's setting down banchan, the small side dishes that accompany every Korean meal, when her hands tremble slightly. The chopsticks she's placing slip from her fingers. They clatter against the table, then tumble to the polished floor. The sound cuts through the quiet restaurant like breaking glass. Several heads turn. Jasmine's smile freezes. Just for a heartbeat. Maybe less. Maybe just a fraction of a second. Her eyes flash with something cold. Something calculating. Something disgusted. It's there and gone in the span of a breath, faster than most people could possibly catch. Then the warmth floods back into her face like someone flipped a switch. The transformation is seamless. Professional. Oh, don't worry about it. These things happen. But Seo-yeon saw it. She's built a business empire worth $3 billion by reading people in the spaces between their words. By catching the micro-expressions they think no one notices. The tightening around the eyes. The brief curl of the lip. The momentary calculation before the social mask slides back into place. And she's seen that exact look before. 20 years ago. In her own reflection. Back when she was climbing the ladder and people were either useful or obstacles. Nothing in between. No gray area. No humanity. The server bows repeatedly, apologizing in rapid Korean. Her face is flushed. She's close to tears. Jasmine touches her arm gently, still smiling. Really, it's okay. I drop things all the time. The server scurries away to get new chopsticks, relief visible in the slope of her shoulders. Jasmine turns back to the table, seamlessly picking up the conversation about wedding venues as if nothing happened. She's describing a place in Jeju Island she's seen on Instagram. Min-ho is nodding, showing her something on his phone. They lean close together, and there's real affection there. Real warmth. He touches her hand. She touches his face. For a moment, Seo-yeon almost convinces herself she imagined that flash of contempt. Almost. Later that night, Seo-yeon sits across from her son Min-ho in her penthouse office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook the Han River, the city lights reflecting off the water like scattered diamonds. Seoul spreads beneath them, 12 million people living their lives, and somewhere down there, Jasmine is probably posting about the lovely dinner with her future mother-in-law. Something's wrong with her. Min-ho doesn't even look up from his phone. His thumbs are moving across the screen, probably texting Jasmine. Mom. Not again. I'm serious this time. You said that about Ji-won. And Soo-jin. And Hae-rin before her. He finally meets her eyes, and there's exhaustion there. Deep exhaustion. The kind that comes from having the same argument over and over. You've said it about every woman I've dated since Dad died. This is different. Is it? He stands, pushing his chair back hard enough that it scrapes against the floor. Or is it because she's black? The words hit like a physical blow. Seo-yeon feels her face flush. Heat rising to her cheeks. How dare you suggest? What else am I supposed to think, Mom? You've never had a problem with any of my Korean girlfriends. Just the ones who don't look like us. That's completely unfair. I had plenty of issues with Soo-jin. Because you thought she was after my money. But Jasmine has her own career. Her own income. Her own identity. She doesn't need anything from us. Doesn't she? Seo-yeon stands too. They're facing each other across the desk now. She's talking about merging her non-profit with our foundation. About expanding operations. That requires funding. Significant funding. So every woman who wants to partner with our family business is automatically a gold digger? I'm not saying that. Then what are you saying? Because from where I'm standing, it sounds like you're looking for any reason to tear down the woman I love. I'm saying I saw something tonight. At dinner. When that server dropped the chopsticks. Oh my God. Min-ho grabs his coat from the back of the chair. You're judging her based on a look? A facial expression? Do you hear yourself? Min-ho, please. Just listen. I'm done listening to you tear down every woman who makes me happy. I'm done. He heads for the door. I'm marrying her in 3 months. You can either accept that or miss your son's wedding. Don't give me that ultimatum. He pauses at the threshold, doesn't turn around. It's not an ultimatum. It's just reality. You don't get to control my life anymore. I'm not trying to control you. I'm trying to protect you. I'm 32 years old. I don't need protection. I need support. Now he does turn, and his face is harder than she's ever seen it. And I need my mother to trust that I'm capable of choosing my own partner. Even if you're making a mistake. Especially then. Because they're my mistakes to make. He opens the door. You know what the sad part is? Jasmine warned me you might react this way. She said some Korean mothers can't handle their sons marrying black women. I defended you. I said you were different. Guess she was right about that too. The door closes with a quiet click that somehow sounds louder than if he'd slammed it. Seo-yeon stands alone in her office. The city sprawls below her, millions of lives playing out in the glow of neon and streetlights. She pours herself a whiskey, Hibiki 21 year, a gift from a business partner in Tokyo. Her hands are shaking slightly. Maybe Min-ho is right. Maybe she is being that mother. The one who can't let go. The one who sees threats everywhere. The one whose love becomes suffocating. But she can't shake that moment. That flash in Jasmine's eyes. That calculation. That assessment of another human being as beneath notice. As less than. She's seen that look before. In business rivals. In competitors who would smile to your face while planning your downfall. In people who view other humans as stepping stones or obstacles. Never as equals. She knows her son won't believe words anymore. She's used up all her credibility with her previous concerns about his girlfriends. She was wrong about G1, turns out she was just shy, not calculating. She was wrong about Soo-jin, she genuinely loved Min-ho and the relationship ended for normal reasons. She's been wrong enough times that Min-ho has learned to tune her out. To dismiss her concerns as a mother who can't let go. She needs something concrete this time. Something undeniable. Proof so clear it can't be explained away or dismissed as a mother's paranoia. Something that will show Minho exactly who Jasmine is when she thinks no one important is watching. She picks up her phone. Scrolls through her contacts until she finds a name she hasn't called in years. Richard Chen. Hollywood special effects artist. They'd met at a charity gala 5 years ago, bonded over expensive wine and a shared obsession with practical effects versus CGI. He'd shown her pictures of his work on major films, prosthetics so realistic you couldn't tell where the actor ended and the makeup began. He answers on the third ring. His voice is groggy. She's forgotten about the time difference. Seo-yeon? It's 3 in the morning here. This better be important. I need your team. Los Angeles. The best you have. And I need absolute discretion. There's a pause. She hears rustling, probably him sitting up in bed. What kind of project are we talking about? Full prosthetic transformation. I need to become someone else entirely. Another pause, longer this time. You're serious. Completely. Seo-yeon, this isn't like those Instagram filters celebrities use. This isn't like wearing a wig and some makeup. This is 8 hours minimum in the makeup chair. Custom silicone pieces molded to your exact facial structure. Medical-grade adhesives. Body paint that has to be color-matched and applied in layers. Textured wigs. Custom contact lenses. It's going to be uncomfortable as hell. Hot. Restrictive. And expensive. And if anyone finds out what you're doing, no one will find out. How much? For a full-body transformation convincing enough to pass in person, in daylight, with people close enough to touch you? He whistles low. 80,000. Minimum. Plus you sign a liability waiver. What you're planning could be seen as. I know exactly what it could be seen as. That's why this conversation never happened. When do you need it done? I fly to LA tomorrow night. Richard whistles low again. Seo-yeon, whatever this is about, are you sure? Once you cross this line. I'm already across it. I just need you to help me see it through. What exactly are you trying to become? Seo-yeon looks out at Seoul. Thinks about Jasmine's smile. Her perfect manners. Her flawless presentation. Her carefully curated Instagram showing her helping women, building community, fighting for justice. I want to see who people are when they think no one is watching. 72 hours later, Seo-yeon sits in a makeup chair in a private studio in Burbank, California. The studio is small, discreet, tucked away in an industrial complex where no one asks questions. Richard and 3 other artists circle her like surgeons preparing for an operation. The room smells like latex and isopropyl alcohol and something chemical she can't quite identify. Last chance to back out, Richard says, mixing pigments on a palette. His hands move with practiced precision. Once we start, we're talking about an 8-hour process minimum. And if you want this to be convincing enough to hold up in person, in daylight, with people close enough to touch you, close enough to see pores and textures, we need to do this right. We need to do this perfectly. I understand. Let's begin. The transformation is excruciating. Not physically painful, the adhesives are medical grade, designed to be gentle on skin. But psychologically disorienting. She watches in the mirror as her face disappears beneath layers of prosthetics. Her eyes, reshaped with carefully placed pieces that alter the fold of her lids. Her nose, broadened with silicone that blends seamlessly into her skin. Her lips, made fuller with prosthetics so thin she can barely feel them. Her skin tone, changed completely through a combination of body paint and carefully applied pigments that look natural in any light, any angle. The artists work mostly in silence, occasionally murmuring to each other about blending or texture or whether the undertones are reading correctly. Seo-yeon closes her eyes, trying not to think about what she's doing. Trying not to hear Minho's voice in her head, Or is it because she's black? Is that what this is? Racism masquerading as protection? She doesn't think so. She hopes not. But doubt creeps in during the long hours in the chair. What if Minho is right? What if she's so uncomfortable with her son dating a black woman that she's manufacturing reasons to disapprove? What if that flash she saw was nothing, just a tired person at the end of a long day, annoyed by a small mishap? But no. She's read people for too long. Built an empire on her ability to see past social masks. That flash was real. That contempt was real. She just needs to prove it. After 8 hours, Richard turns her chair to face the mirror. Ready? She opens her eyes. A black woman in her 50s stares back. Weathered skin with the kind of texture that comes from years of sun exposure. Tired eyes with crow's feet at the corners. Textured hair pulled back in a simple style that's practical rather than fashionable. Every detail perfect. Every flaw intentional. She looks real because Richard and his team have made her real. They haven't created a caricature or a costume. They've created a human being. We've given you someone who's lived a life, Richard says quietly. Someone with a history written on her face. Laugh lines. Worry lines. Sun damage. Scars. That's what makes it believable. You're not pretending to be anyone specific. You're just someone else. Someone real. Seo-yeon touches her face carefully. The prosthetics move naturally with her skin. She can feel them, but barely. Like a second skin. How long will this last? With proper care and some touch-ups? 2 to 3 weeks. We're giving you a kit with everything you need. Application will take about an hour once you learn the technique. Removal takes about the same. But Seo-yeon, he turns her chair to face him directly. His expression is serious. What you're doing, walking around in someone else's skin, inhabiting someone else's experience, it's going to change you. You won't be able to unsee what you see. You'll experience things you've never experienced. Feel things you've never felt. Are you ready for that? She meets his eyes. I don't have a choice. We always have a choice. That's the whole point of privilege, having choices. You're choosing to temporarily give up some of yours. But remember, at the end of this, you get to take off the makeup and go back to your life. The people whose experience you're borrowing don't get that option. The words sink in. Heavy. Uncomfortable. True. Seoul. 2 weeks later. Early evening. The golden hour light casts long shadows. Seo-yeon, now Keisha Thompson from Atlanta, according to the identification documents she had created through channels she'd rather not think too carefully about, sits on a bench outside Common Ground, a trendy shopping complex in Gangnam. The place is packed with teenagers and 20-somethings, all dressed in the latest Korean street fashion. Music pumps from the stores. The air smells like fried chicken and coffee and expensive perfume. She's wearing simple clothes purchased from a mid-range store. Nothing designer. Nothing memorable. Comfortable shoes that have seen some wear. A worn jacket with a small stain on the sleeve that she deliberately didn't clean. A backpack that's seen better days. Everything chosen to make her look like someone passing through. Someone without resources. Someone easy to overlook. She's been here for 3 days now. 3 days of learning what invisible feels like. Except she's not invisible. Not at all. She's hypervisible in the worst possible way. The stares are constant. Relentless. Children point at her and ask their mothers questions in rapid Korean that she pretends not to understand. She catches fragments. Why does she look like that? Is she from Africa? Can I touch her hair? Teenagers huddle together, phones out, definitely taking pictures, probably posting on social media. She imagines the captions, "Spotted in Gangnam LOL" or "Why are there so many foreigners here now?" One elderly woman, dressed in traditional hanbok, literally crosses the street to avoid walking past her. Seo-yeon watches her do it. Watches her glance over, see Keisha sitting on the bench, and immediately alter her path to maintain maximum distance. Another woman, younger, probably in her 30s, actually reaches out and touches her hair without asking, without warning, without permission. Just reaches out like she's petting an exotic animal at a zoo. Then giggles to her friend. Seo-yeon's hand balls into a fist. Every instinct screams to confront them. To stand up. To assert herself the way she's done in boardrooms for decades. To remind them she's a human being worthy of basic respect. But she stays still. Stays in character. Keeps her eyes down. Plays the role. For the first time in her billionaire life, she understands viscerally what Jasmine experiences every single day in Korea. The othering. The exoticization. The casual dehumanization. The way people feel entitled to your space, your body, your existence as a curiosity rather than a person. The constant low-grade stress of knowing you're always being watched, always being judged, always being categorized as other. Maybe she's wrong about Jasmine. Maybe the woman deserves more credit than Seo-yeon has given her. Maybe living through this every day would harden anyone. Maybe that flash of contempt wasn't character, maybe it was just accumulated frustration. Self-protection. A wall built brick by brick from 1,000 small indignities. A black Mercedes pulls up to the curb. Sleek. Expensive. The kind of car that announces you've made it. The door opens, and Jasmine steps out. Seo-yeon's breath catches despite herself. Jasmine looks absolutely stunning. She's wearing a fitted burgundy blazer over a silk blouse, tailored black pants that fit perfectly, heels that add 3 inches to her height. Her hair is styled in elegant braids pulled into a low bun. Diamond studs in her ears catch the light. She looks powerful. Successful. Like she belongs in this neighborhood, in this life, in this world. 3 board members emerge from the car after her, 2 Korean women and 1 man, all dressed in sharp business attire. Designer bags. Expensive watches. Confidence radiating off all of them like heat waves. They're laughing about something as they head toward the cafe. Jasmine is at the center of the group, clearly leading, clearly commanding attention. She's gesturing while she talks, animated and engaged. The others lean in, listening. She looks powerful. Successful. Like she belongs. Through the cafe's floor-to-ceiling windows, Seo-yeon watches them settle at a table near the window. A laptop comes out. Someone opens a tablet. A presentation starts. Seo-yeon can see charts and graphs even from here. Jasmine gestures while talking, animated and engaged. The board members nod, smile, lean in. She's captivating them. She's good at this. Really good. Then Jasmine glances outside. Her eyes sweep past the people walking by on the street. Past the shops. Past the delivery drivers. And land directly on Seo-yeon, sitting slumped on the bench with her worn backpack beside her. For 2 seconds, maybe 3, they make direct eye contact. Seo-yeon holds perfectly still, playing the role of someone with nowhere else to be. Someone who's tired. Someone who's given up. She lets her shoulders slump more. Lets her expression go blank. Jasmine's face shifts. Not recognition, there's no way she could recognize her future mother-in-law under $80,000 of prosthetics. But something else happens in those seconds. Something Seo-yeon recognizes because she spent weeks learning to read the subtlest changes in expression, and because she's seen this exact process in her own mirror years ago. Assessment. Who is this person? Categorization. What kind of person? Calculation. Do they matter? Dismissal. They don't. All in the space of a heartbeat. Jasmine's hand reaches over to the window blind cord. She pulls. The white fabric unrolls smoothly, cutting off the view of the bench. Cutting off the view of Seo-yeon. The afternoon sun is behind the building. The blind serves no practical purpose for controlling light. It serves only one purpose, to block the sight of the homeless black woman outside the window. To remove her from the aesthetic. To erase her from the field of vision. To make her truly invisible. Seo-yeon sits perfectly still. The hidden camera in her jacket lapel captures everything. The lens is barely visible, disguised as a button. High definition. Recording Jasmine's face in the moment before she pulls the blind. Recording the gesture itself. Recording the deliberate choice to block out another human being. She sits there for another hour, watching through the gap at the edge of the blind as Jasmine continues her meeting. Watches her laugh. Watches her touch the arm of one board member while making a point. Watches her command the room with the kind of easy confidence that comes from knowing you're good at what you do. And she is good. Seo-yeon can see that. This isn't all performance. Jasmine has real skills. Real passion for her work. Real connections with the people she's helping. Which makes it worse, somehow. If Jasmine were completely fake, this would be simpler. But she's not. She's complicated. She does real good while also using people. She fights for justice while also seeking personal gain. She's human. Flawed. Contradictory. When the meeting finally ends, Jasmine and her colleagues gather their things. They're still laughing as they head for the door, still riding the high of a successful presentation. Jasmine is checking her phone, thumb scrolling rapidly through what's probably Instagram or Twitter. Seo-yeon stands slowly, every muscle stiff from sitting in one position for so long. She moves toward the cafe entrance, timing it carefully so she'll intersect with Jasmine's path on the sidewalk. Jasmine exits first, phone pressed to her ear. She's already on a call. Yeah, babe, just finished. The board approved the expansion to Busan. We're looking at another 300 women in the program by next quarter. The funding came through. Seo-yeon shuffles into her path, playing up the weariness in her movements. She moves slowly, uncertainly, like someone who's exhausted. Excuse me, sister. I'm so sorry to bother you, but... Jasmine's body language transforms instantly. Her shoulders pull back. Her pace quickens. Her eyes fix on a point straight ahead, looking through Seo-yeon rather than at her. The same way you'd look past a street vendor or someone handing out flyers. Acknowledging their existence just enough to avoid collision while denying them any real recognition as a person who matters. Can't help. Sorry. Please, I just need directions to... Jasmine stops. Turns. Her face is hard, closed off. The professional smile is nowhere in sight. This is a different person from the warm, engaging woman who was charming board members 5 minutes ago. Shelter's 2 blocks that way. She points without looking at Seo-yeon directly. Won't make eye contact. They close intake at 8. You should go now. Then she's back to the phone, voice warming instantly like someone turned up a thermostat. The transformation is jarring. Sorry about that, babe. One of those situations. Anyway, did you book the venue for the engagement party? I was thinking we could do that rooftop place in Itaewon. She keeps walking. Keeps talking. Her voice carries back to where Seo-yeon stands frozen on the sidewalk. The audio recorder hidden in her jacket pocket is still running, capturing every word with crystal clarity. No, just some homeless woman. You know how Gangnam is now. Used to be you never saw this kind of thing, but lately there's been an influx. Anyway, once we're married and I take over your mom's foundation, first thing I'm doing is relocating us to New York. I cannot do another year in this country. The food is so limited, like, how many ways can you serve pickled vegetables? The staring is constant. And honestly the culture is just, you know, so focused on conformity. On looking the same, acting the same. It's suffocating. I've played the game for 5 years. That's enough. The words fade as Jasmine and her colleagues disappear around the corner, their laughter echoing back. One of them says something that makes everyone laugh harder. They're having a good day. A successful day. Seo-yeon looks down at the recorder hidden in her jacket pocket. The indicator light blinks red. Still recording. Got every word. Every dismissal. Every casual cruelty. Every calculated statement about taking over the foundation and leaving Korea. She thinks about going back to her penthouse right now. Removing the prosthetics. Ending the experiment. She has enough. She could show this to Min-ho tonight. Prove she was right. Prove Jasmine isn't who she pretends to be. But something stops her. This isn't just about stopping a wedding anymore. This isn't just about protecting her son. Jasmine has 200,000 followers on Instagram. She runs a non-profit that's supposed to serve marginalized women. She gives speeches about solidarity and showing up for the vulnerable. She positions herself as a voice for justice. People believe in her. Trust her. Donate to her cause. Young black women in Korea look up to her as a role model. If Jasmine is this dismissive to someone she thinks is truly powerless, what else is she hiding? What else is performance? How deep does the gap run between her public persona and her private character? Seo-yeon pulls out her phone and makes a call. It's answered immediately. Yes, Mrs. Park. I need a ticket to the Seoul Sisters annual fundraiser tomorrow night. Under a fake name. And I need you to make sure I can access the AV system remotely. Mrs. Park, if this goes wrong. It won't. If it does, you'll lose everything. Your reputation. Your company. Your relationship with your son. You could face legal consequences. What you're doing walks a very thin ethical line. Some would say you've already crossed it. Seo-yeon watches her reflection in a shop window across the street. Sees Keisha staring back. Sees the person she's become temporarily. Sees all the people who've stared at her, pointed at her, touched her without permission over the past 3 days. I already lost my son to a lie. This is how I get him back. This is how I show him the truth. That night, Seo-yeon returns to her penthouse through the service entrance. She's rented a separate apartment under Keisha's identity, a small studio in a less expensive neighborhood where no one asks questions. But she needs some items from her real home. Technical equipment. The remote control for the AV system. A backup hard drive. She waits until 2 a.m. when Min-ho is definitely asleep. He's been staying in the guest wing when he visits, which has been rare lately. The distance between them has grown into a chasm. She misses him. Misses the closeness they used to have before his father died. Before she became overprotective and he became defensive. She moves through her own home like a ghost, using the staff corridors and back stairways. The penthouse is silent except for the hum of climate control and the distant sound of traffic from the street below. She knows every creak in the floor, every camera angle, how to move without being detected by her own security system. In her office, she downloads all the footage from the past 3 weeks onto encrypted drives. Jasmine pulling down the blind. Jasmine dismissing her on the street. Audio recordings of private conversations caught on the hidden microphone. She edits the footage carefully, making sure the timestamps are visible, making sure everything is clearly documented. She's deep in the editing when she hears footsteps. Her hands freeze over the keyboard. The prosthetics are still on, she was too tired to remove them when she got back, and the process takes nearly an hour. Now there's no time. Someone is coming. Minho appears in the doorway. He's in pajama pants and a t-shirt, clearly heading to the kitchen for a late-night snack or glass of water. He stops when he sees her. His eyes widen in confusion, then fear. Who the hell are you? How did you get in here? Seo-yeon's mind races. She pitches her voice differently, making it deeper, adding a slight accent. I'm so sorry. I'm Keisha, Mrs. Park's friend from Atlanta. She gave me the security code, said I could use the office. At 2 in the morning? Minho's hand moves toward his phone in his pocket. I'm calling security right now. Please don't. I'm just working on something for her. A surprise project. She'll be so angry if you ruin it. Minho stares at her for a long moment. In the low light of the office, the prosthetics hold up perfectly. He's looking right at her and has no idea he's talking to his mother. Where is she? Business trip. Tokyo. She'll be back tomorrow night. It's plausible enough. Seo-yeon travels constantly for work. Minho knows her schedule is unpredictable. His finger hovers over his phone, but he doesn't call. What kind of surprise project requires breaking into her office at 2 a.m.? I'm not breaking in. She gave me access. And it's not my story to tell. Seo-yeon meets his eyes, praying the prosthetics hold up under his scrutiny. Under his gaze. Under the look of a son who knows his mother better than anyone. But it's important. It's about your wedding. That gets his attention. What about my wedding? I can't say more. But your mother loves you very much. Everything she does, even the things that seem crazy, even the things that seem controlling or intrusive, she does because she loves you. Minho's expression softens slightly. Some of the anger drains away. If you talk to her, tell her I know that. I do. I just wish she could trust me to make my own choices. I wish she could believe I'm capable of seeing people clearly. Maybe she's trying to learn how. Maybe this is her attempt. The words come out before Seo-yeon can stop them. Too honest. Too revealing. Too close to breaking character. Minho studies her face for another moment. In the darkness, with just the glow of the computer screen, he can't see all the details. Can't see the places where prosthetic meets skin. Can't see the subtle differences in texture and tone. He just sees a woman who seems trustworthy. Who seems to know his mother. Who seems to care. He nods slowly. Okay. But don't stay too much longer. Security does rounds at 3. If they find you here, I can't help you. I'll be gone in 20 minutes. Thank you for understanding. He leaves. Seo-yeon exhales shakily. Her hands are trembling. That was too close. She finishes compiling the footage, uploads everything to a secure cloud server with multiple backups, and slips back out of the penthouse the way she came. As she walks through the pre-dawn streets of Seoul, still in character as Keisha, she thinks about the look on Minho's face. The softness when he talked about knowing his mother loves him. The pain when he said he wished she'd trust him. The gap between them that seems impossible to bridge with words alone. After tomorrow night, there will be no gap. There will either be understanding or there will be nothing. The bridge will either be rebuilt or burned completely. There's no middle ground left. The next evening arrives too quickly. The Grand Hyatt Hotel ballroom is transformed into something out of a fairy tale. Crystal chandeliers cast prismatic light across Seoul's elite. Women in designer gowns that cost more than cars. Men in tailored suits that were probably fitted in London or Milan. The Seoul Sisters organization has pulled out every stop for their annual fundraiser. This is the event of the season. Seo-yeon, still as Keisha, slips in through a side entrance that the catering staff uses. Her ticket was purchased under a fake name through a third-party broker who specializes in discretion. She's dressed simply but appropriately, a dark dress that wouldn't look out of place at a semi-formal event, but nothing that draws attention. Nothing designer. Nothing memorable. Hair styled neatly. Light makeup over the prosthetics. She looks like someone's assistant. Someone's plus one. Someone who belongs but doesn't matter. She finds a seat in the back row, far from the stage. Head down. Shoulders curved inward. Unobtrusive. She's gotten remarkably good at making herself small these past 3 weeks. At understanding the art of not being seen even when you're visible. It's a skill she never needed before. A skill she never wanted to learn. The lights dim. Music swells, something orchestral and uplifting. On stage, the Seoul Sisters president gives opening remarks. Thanks the donors by name, reading from a list. Introduces the board members one by one. Then, and now, the woman who's been the heart and soul of our expansion into supporting Black women in Korea. Whose nonprofit has touched hundreds of lives. Who embodies everything we believe about showing up for marginalized communities. Who reminds us that justice isn't just a word, it's a practice. Please welcome Jasmine Reed. Applause erupts. Loud and sustained. Genuine enthusiasm. Jasmine walks onto the stage and she's absolutely radiant. She's wearing a floor-length emerald gown that catches the light with every movement, probably custom-made, probably costs more than most people's monthly rent. Her hair is styled in an elaborate updo with small diamond pins scattered through it like stars. She looks like power personified. Like success incarnate. Like everything you'd want to be. Thank you. Thank you so much. She waits for the applause to die down, smiling warmly at the crowd. I want to talk to you tonight about what it means to show up. Not just the Instagram version of showing up, the posting, the hashtags, the performative solidarity that costs us nothing. But the real work. The hard work. The uncomfortable work. The work that happens when no one is watching. When no cameras are rolling. When there's no applause waiting at the end. Seo-yeon's jaw clenches. The irony is almost too perfect. Almost too on the nose. Because that's when it matters most, isn't it? When there's no camera. No audience. No one to impress. No social capital to gain. That's when we discover who we really are. That's when we find out if our values are real or just decoration. Just aesthetic. Just part of our personal brand. Jasmine moves across the stage with practiced ease. She's clearly given versions of this speech before. She's polished. Professional. Compelling. Her voice rises and falls in all the right places. She pauses for effect. She makes eye contact with people in the front rows. She's a natural performer. I've been in Korea for 5 years now. And I've experienced things that have tested me. Tested my patience. Tested my faith in humanity. The staring. The questions. The assumptions. The times I've been followed in stores because someone assumed I was going to steal. The times I've been treated like a curiosity instead of a person. The times children have pointed at me and their parents haven't corrected them. The times I've been touched without permission. Asked where I'm really from. Told my Korean is so good, as if it's surprising that I can learn a language. Murmurs of sympathy ripple through the crowd. Some people nodding. Some looking uncomfortable. Some probably wondering if they've been guilty of these things themselves. But here's what I learned through all of it. We can't control how others see us. We can only control how we see others. And when we see someone struggling, someone in need, someone asking for help, we don't look away. We don't make excuses. We don't tell ourselves it's not our problem or that someone else will handle it. We step forward. We show up. Seo-yeon stands. She stumbles deliberately, putting weight on her ankle wrong. Falls into the aisle with a crash that echoes through the ballroom. Her body hits the carpet hard enough to feel real. Hard enough to sell it. 4-5 seconds, perfect silence. 200 people frozen in shock. Forks suspended halfway to mouths. Conversations cut off mid-word. Everyone staring. Then chaos erupts. People rushing forward from nearby seats. Someone shouts for a doctor. A woman in a red dress kneels beside her. Security starts moving in from the sides of the room, walkie-talkies crackling. But Seo-yeon, sprawled on the carpet, watches only Jasmine. Only Jasmine matters right now. And she sees everything. Sees Jasmine freeze at the podium. Sees the calculation flash across her face like lightning. She has two options visible to everyone in this room: stop the speech and rush to help, look compassionate, human, consistent with the message she's literally speaking right now. Or continue, and risk looking cold, disconnected, hypocritical. Jasmine chooses option 3. The one she thinks no one will notice. The one that reveals everything. A subtle hand gesture. To the security guard approaching from stage left. A slight tilt of her head toward Seo-yeon. Her lips move, mouthing words silently, remove her. Quietly. Side door. Then she's back to the microphone without missing a beat. Without acknowledging what just happened. Without showing any concern for the woman who collapsed during her speech about showing up for people. As I was saying, showing up means action. Real action. Tangible action. It means creating spaces where everyone feels valued, where everyone feels seen, where everyone. Seo-yeon stands. Reaches up with both hands. Grabs the edge of the wig. Rips it off in one smooth motion. Then peels away the prosthetic pieces on her face. The medical adhesive gives way with a sound like tearing fabric. She spent the last 3 weeks learning to apply and remove them. It takes an hour to put on. 30 seconds to tear off when you don't care about saving the pieces. Gasps ripple through the ballroom like a wave. Phones emerge from purses and pockets. Recording. Dozens of red lights blinking in the darkness. This moment is already being uploaded. Already going viral. Already spreading across social media at the speed of light. My name is Park Seo-yeon. I've been testing this woman for 3 weeks. Jasmine goes white. Actually white. All the color drains from her face like someone pulled a plug. What are you doing? What is this? Seo-yeon pulls a remote control from her clutch. Points it at the screen behind the stage. The Soul Sisters logo disappears. The screen goes black for a moment. Then footage begins to play. First clip, Jasmine pulling down the blind at the cafe. The timestamp is clearly visible in the corner. The date. The time. The action obvious and deliberate. Her face in the moment before she pulls it, that flash of assessment and dismissal. Second clip, Jasmine dismissing Keisha on the street. The shelter comment. The dismissive point. The way she doesn't make eye contact. The way she treats another human being like an inconvenience. Third clip, audio only, but crystal clear. Jasmine's voice, recorded without her knowledge: cannot do another year here, take over your mom's foundation, relocating to New York, just some homeless woman. The ballroom erupts. Voices overlapping. Shocked exclamations. Some people standing. Some people sitting frozen. Phones held high, recording everything. This is the moment. This is the reveal. This is the truth laid bare. Jasmine grabs the microphone with both hands. Her knuckles are white. This is entrapment. She did blackface. She appropriated, her voice cracks. She's losing control. Losing the narrative. You all see this, right? This is racist. What she did is worse than anything she wore someone else's pain like a costume. I exposed a fraud. Seo-yeon's voice cuts through the noise. Calm. Clear. Loud enough to carry without a microphone. She's spent decades commanding rooms. She knows how to project authority. A fraud who uses racial justice as a brand while showing contempt for the very people she claims to serve. Who planned to use my family's money and foundation as a stepping stone to New York. Who privately mocks the country that gave her a platform. Who sees people as either useful or invisible. You don't know what it's like. Jasmine's voice is rising now, cracking with emotion. Real emotion. This isn't performance. This is raw. You don't know what I deal with every single day. Walking around this city being stared at, being pointed at, being touched, being treated like some exotic animal. You wore it for 3 weeks and you think you understand? You think that gives you the right to judge me? You're right. I don't know what it's like. Not really. Seo-yeon takes a step forward. I didn't know until I lived it for 3 weeks. And yes, what I experienced was dehumanizing. Exhausting. Eye-opening. It changed how I see this country. How I see privilege. How I see the daily reality for people who don't look like the majority. But do you know what it didn't do? The room is silent now. Everyone waiting. Everyone watching. It didn't make me dismiss someone asking for directions. It didn't make me pull down a blind to avoid looking at someone less fortunate. It didn't make me see people as beneath me. It didn't make me forget that everyone deserves basic human dignity regardless of their circumstances. That's easy to say when you get to take off the costume. Jasmine is crying now. Actual tears. Mascara running. You experimented with oppression for 3 weeks and now you're the expert. Now you get to judge how I've survived here. How I've protected myself. How I've built walls to keep functioning. At the back of the room, the main doors open. Light spills in from the lobby. A figure appears in silhouette. Minho walks through the crowd, and every eye turns to track his movement. He's wearing a suit, clearly dressed for the gala, but his tie is loose and his face is hard. Harder than Seo-yeon has ever seen it. He reaches the front of the room. Looks at his mother, still holding prosthetic pieces in her hands, silicone dripping from her fingers. Looks at his fiancée on stage, trembling with rage and fear and tears. I got your message, he says to Seo-yeon. His voice is flat. Emotionless. Watched the footage. All of it. Every second. Jasmine's face crumbles. Minho, baby, please. Your mother is insane. She's trying to sabotage us. She's always been trying to sabotage us. She can't handle. Stop. His voice cuts through her words like a blade. Cold. Final. Just stop. I saw everything. She sent it 2 hours ago with a message that said, watch this before you decide I'm wrong. Then make your choice. Jasmine steps toward the edge of the stage. Her heels click against the hardwood. Then why are you here? To watch her humiliate me in front of everyone? To watch her destroy me? Is this fun for you? Does this make you feel righteous? To hear you explain. He looks up at her. To give you a chance to tell me there's context I'm missing. To apologize. To show me that the woman I fell in love with, the woman who talked about justice and dignity and fighting for the marginalized, is still in there somewhere. Silence. Every person in the ballroom holds their breath. Phone still recording. Hundreds of people will watch this moment within the hour. Thousands by morning. This is the pivotal moment. The moment where Jasmine could choose vulnerability. Could choose honesty. Could choose redemption. Instead, her face hardens. The vulnerability disappears. The tears dry up. A different mask, not the warm, charming activist, but something colder and more honest, slides into place. Fine. You want the truth? Yes. I was using you. She's gripping the microphone stand so hard her knuckles are white. Yes, I wanted access to your family's money and connections. Yes, I plan to take over the foundation and move us to New York as soon as possible. Yes, I can't stand this country and its backwards attitudes and its obsession with homogeneity and its inability to see black people as fully human. She takes a breath. The room is dead silent. But your mother isn't a hero. She's not some crusader for truth. She did blackface. She appropriated black identity to trap me. She wore someone else's pain like a costume she could take off whenever it got uncomfortable. She performed blackness to expose me. That's worse than anything I did. That's violence. That's violation. The crowd splits. You can see it happening in real time. Some people nodding. Some shaking their heads. Arguments already breaking out in whispers. This isn't simple. This isn't black and white. Both women crossed lines. Both women were wrong in different ways. And you? Jasmine locks eyes with Min-ho. Her voice drops lower, more intimate, more cutting. You were so desperate to be the progressive Korean guy. So desperate to prove you weren't like them. So desperate to show everyone how enlightened you were by dating me. You needed me to be authentic. You needed me to be real. You needed what I represented because you were performing too. You couldn't see I was playing you because you didn't want to see it. Because admitting I was fake meant admitting you were fake too. Min-ho flinches. The words land like physical blows. Seo-yeon takes an instinctive step toward her son, protective, but he holds up a hand. Stops her. You're right about one thing. His voice is quieter now. The microphone on stage barely picks it up, but the ballroom is so silent that everyone hears anyway. Hope flickers across Jasmine's face. Just for a second. Just enough to be visible. I was desperate to prove something. To be different from the expectations. From the stereotypes. From the image of the rich Korean son who only dates models and doesn't think about social issues. I did need what you represented. And I'm sorry for that. For not seeing you as a complete person. For seeing you as a symbol of something I wanted to be. For using you to prove I was different while you were using me for money and access. We were both performing. He turns to his mother. And Mom, what you did was wrong. The method was wrong. I don't care how good your intentions were. I don't care that you wanted to protect me. You crossed lines that shouldn't be crossed. You wore someone else's identity. You appropriated someone else's experience. That's not okay. That's never okay. Seo-yeon nods slowly. Pain visible on her face. Real pain. I know. I knew when I did it. I did it anyway because I couldn't see another way. But that doesn't make it right. But. Min-ho turns back to Jasmine. You were wrong about her. She wasn't trying to trap you. She was trying to see who you really were when you thought you were safe. When you thought no one who mattered was watching. When you thought the person in front of you had no power and no voice and no ability to affect your life. He takes a breath. We're done, Jasmine. The engagement is off. Security will escort you out. Your nonprofit is being audited. We're already in contact with the board and several donors. If you come near my family again, we press charges for fraud. For misrepresentation. For whatever our lawyers can make stick. Jasmine's face collapses. The hardness cracks. Underneath, there's something raw and real and broken. You'll regret this. All of you. When the internet finds out what she did, when they see the pictures, when they understand she did blackface. They already know. We're live streaming. Have been since I walked in. Minho gestures to the phones recording throughout the ballroom. Let them decide. Let the world decide who was wrong and who was right and whether anyone was right at all. Security approaches from both sides of the stage. Two men in dark suits. Professional. Efficient. Jasmine looks between them, then back at Minho. For a moment, she looks young. Vulnerable. Like the woman he thought he loved might actually be in there somewhere, buried under the performance and the ambition and the walls. I did help people, you know, she says quietly. Her voice is different now. Softer. More honest. The non-profit was real. The women we supported, they're real. The programs we built, they work. The connections we made, they matter. It wasn't all a lie. It wasn't all performance. Some of it was real. I know, Minho says. That's the sad part. That's what makes this complicated. You did good work. You changed lives. You made things better. You just lost track of why you were doing it. You let it become about you instead of them. Security takes her elbows gently but firmly. She doesn't resist. She walks off stage with her head high, spine straight, even as tears stream down her face. The crowd parts as they lead her through the ballroom toward a side exit. Some people look sympathetic. Some look disgusted. Most look confused, still processing, still trying to decide what they just witnessed. The door closes behind her. The ballroom erupts into chaos. Voices overlapping. Debates starting. Phones out, typing furiously, posting, sharing, tagging. This story will dominate Korean social media by midnight. International media by morning. Minho and Seo-yeon stand in the center of it all, mother and son, as the storm rages around them. Later. 2 a.m. The ballroom is empty now except for Minho and Seo-yeon, sitting on the edge of the stage where Jasmine stood hours before. The cleanup crew has come and gone. The lights are at half power. The city spreads out beyond the windows, Seoul glittering in the darkness. I'm sorry. Seo-yeon's voice is hoarse. She's removed all the remaining prosthetics. Her real face is raw and red from the adhesive. For how I did it. For the method. For crossing lines. For being right? Minho almost smiles. Almost. Don't apologize for that part. But she was right too. About what I did. About appropriation. About violence. About. Yeah. He stares at his hands. You both were. That's what makes this so fucked up. You were both wrong and both right at the same time. Silence stretches between them. Not uncomfortable. Just heavy. Full of things that need to be said and things that can't be said and things that will take years to fully process. She was also right about me, Minho says finally. About why I fell for her. Why I defended her so hard. Why I couldn't see what you saw. I wanted to be the good Korean guy. The enlightened one. The one who got it. The one who was different from all the others. I was performing too. Just like she was. Just like you were when you put on that disguise. You are different. No, Mom. I was performing difference. I was performing wokeness. I was performing allyship. And she was right, I needed her to be real because if she was fake, then what I was doing was fake too. I couldn't let myself see the truth because the truth would mean I wasn't who I thought I was. He looks at her. I need to figure out who I actually am. Not who I want people to think I am. Not who I'm trying to prove I'm not. Not who Dad wanted me to be or who society expects me to be. Just me. Whoever that is. Seo-yeon takes his hand. Squeezes. Her eyes are wet. That's the most honest thing I've heard in months. Maybe years. What about you? He squeezes back. Those 3 weeks wearing someone else's face. Living someone else's experience. Walking around as someone else. Did it change you? She thinks about the stairs. The pointing. The woman crossing the street. The hand touching her hair without permission. The teenagers taking pictures without asking. The feeling of being hypervisible and invisible at the same time. Seen and unseen. Present and erased. Yes. It changed everything. I can't unsee it now. The way this city treats people who don't fit the mold. The casual cruelty that people don't even recognize as cruelty because it's so normalized. The microaggressions that add up. The death by 1,000 cuts. But it also showed me that walking in someone's shoes for 3 weeks doesn't give me the right to speak for them. I understand more now. I feel more. I see more. But understanding isn't the same as experiencing. Empathy isn't the same as lived experience. I got to take off the costume. That's privilege. That's the fundamental difference. Minho nods slowly. So what now? Now I figure out how to actually help instead of just performing help. How to use my privilege and resources for something real instead of just feeling guilty about having them. How to support without appropriating. How to listen without speaking over. How to be a better person without performing being a better person. Yeah. That. She almost laughs. Almost. And I support whatever you decide to do next. Even if I think it's a mistake. Even if I want to interfere. Because I need to trust you to make your own mistakes. To live your own life. To become whoever you're going to become. Even though it kills you. Especially because it kills me. That's how you know it's real growth and not just performance. They sit in silence for a while longer, mother and son, in an empty ballroom where something broke and something else maybe started to heal. Outside, Seoul sleeps and wakes and lives. Millions of stories playing out. Some real. Some performance. Most somewhere in between. The story goes viral within 24 hours. Not just viral, nuclear. Explosive. Inescapable. Hashtag blackfacetrap trends worldwide. So does hashtag exposing fraud. So does hashtag Soul Sisters. So does hashtag Jasmine Reed. Seoul is divided. Korea is divided. The world is watching and arguing and taking sides. Some call Seo-yeon racist. A privileged woman who appropriated black identity to trap someone. Who wore someone else's pain like a costume. Who crossed unforgivable lines. Death threats arrive at her office. Her social media accounts are flooded with hatred. Several business partners distance themselves. The board of her company holds an emergency meeting to discuss whether she should step down. Others call her a protective mother who exposed a genuine fraud. Who did what was necessary to save her son from a manipulative relationship. Who used unconventional methods but achieved a righteous goal. They send messages of support. They defend her on talk shows and in op-eds. They argue that the ends justified the means. Some defend Jasmine's frustration with Korea. Point out that her anger is valid. That living as a black woman in a homogeneous Asian country is genuinely difficult. That her walls and cynicism are survival mechanisms. That she was unfairly targeted and trapped. That she's a victim of both Seo-yeon's scheme and Korea's racism. Others call Jasmine a con artist who got caught. Who used racial justice as a brand while showing contempt for the vulnerable. Who planned to exploit her husband's family. Who said one thing publicly while believing another privately. Who deserves everything she got. An audit reveals the truth is somewhere in the middle. Jasmine's nonprofit was real. She helped people. She changed lives. She built genuine programs that connected black women in Korea. But she also paid herself $180,000 a year from donations meant for struggling women. She lived in luxury while the people she served struggled. She used the nonprofit partly as a platform for her own advancement. Legitimate work with questionable ethics. Good intentions corrupted by personal ambition. She wasn't a monster. She wasn't a saint. She was human. Flawed. Complicated. Which somehow makes the whole thing sadder. International media picks up the story. Think pieces proliferate. The ethics of exposure in the social media age. When does protection become violation? Blackface, context, and the problem of appropriation. Performance, authenticity, and the paradox of modern identity. Everyone has an opinion. No one agrees. In her penthouse, Seo-yeon keeps the prosthetic mask in her office. Not as a trophy. As a reminder. She has it mounted in a small display case where she'll see it every day. A reminder of what she learned. What she did. What she became temporarily. She spent 3 weeks being invisible and hypervisible at the same time. Learning that privilege is invisible until you don't have it. That compassion is performative until it costs something. That everyone performs, we just choose which audience to perform for. She's contacted by several organizations. Some want her to speak about her experience. Some want her to apologize publicly. Some want her to fund initiatives for black women in Korea. Some want her to disappear. She declines most requests. Accepts a few. Tries to figure out how to move forward without performing moving forward. She has conversations with black women activists in Korea. Listens to their perspectives. Hears their anger and their pain and their complexity. Some forgive her. Some don't. Some acknowledge her intentions while condemning her methods. Some see no redemption possible. She listens to all of it. Doesn't argue. Doesn't defend. Just listens. Minho takes a leave of absence from work. Travels to Japan, then Thailand, then nowhere specific. Just traveling. Just thinking. Just being alone with himself without the performance. Without the expectations. Without the need to prove anything to anyone. He sends his mother occasional texts. Short. Simple. I'm okay. Still figuring things out. Miss you. The question isn't whether Seo-yeon was right or wrong. The question isn't whether Jasmine deserved what happened. The question is simpler and more complicated. If someone tested you like this, when you thought no one important was watching, what would they discover? What would they find beneath your performance? Beneath your social media? Beneath the person you claim to be? Would you pass? Would you fail? Would the test itself be fair? And here's the real question, the one that keeps Seo-yeon awake at night, staring at the mask in its case. Does anyone pass? Is anyone authentic all the way through? Or are we all performing different versions of ourselves depending on the audience? And if we're all performing, does that make us all frauds? Or does it make us all human? 3 months later, something interesting happens. Jasmine resurfaces. New nonprofit. New mission. Different branding. Same basic work, connecting and supporting marginalized women, but with more transparency. Board oversight. Public financial statements. Salary caps. Everything designed to avoid the mistakes that destroyed Soul Sisters. And the person funding it? Providing the initial capital? Sitting on the board as an anonymous donor? That's complicated. That's private. That's between people who wronged each other trying to figure out if redemption is possible. If growth is possible. If two people who exposed each other's worst can somehow help each other become better. Minho finds out about it 6 months later. Calls his mother. First real conversation they've had in months. You're funding her new nonprofit? I'm funding the work. Not her specifically. The work matters. The women being helped matter. Even after everything. Especially after everything. She was right about some things. About this country. About the challenges. About the need. I can help without endorsing everything she did. I can support the mission without forgiving the methods. That's very mature of you. Or very complicated. I'm not sure there's a difference anymore. Silence. Then, I think I'm ready to come home. Yeah. I don't have it all figured out. But I think I'm okay with that. I think maybe nobody has it all figured out. Maybe that's the point. Seo-yeon looks at the mask in its case. Keisha's face. The person she became. The experience she borrowed. The lines she crossed. Maybe you're right. Maybe the point is just to keep trying. Keep learning. Keep failing better. That sounds like something Dad would say. It does, doesn't it? They talk for an hour. About nothing. About everything. About the weather and business and travel and food. Normal things. Parent and child things. The kind of conversation that doesn't need to prove anything or fix anything or resolve anything. Just connection. Just being. After they hang up, Seo-yeon sits in her office. The city spreads below. Seoul living its millions of lives. Some authentic. Some performed. Most somewhere in between. She thinks about Jasmine. About Minho. About Richard in Los Angeles who helped her cross a line. About all the people who stared at Keisha on the streets. About the server who dropped the chopsticks. About everyone trying to be someone while pretending they're not trying. The mask sits in its case. Silent. Watching. Waiting. Maybe that's the real story. Not the exposure. Not the trap. Not the viral moment or the think pieces or the debates about right and wrong. Maybe the real story is simpler, we're all wearing masks. Some are just more visible than others. Some are just more expensive. Some we pay $80,000 for. Others we've been wearing so long we forgot their masks at all. The question isn't whether you're performing. Everyone's performing. The question is, who are you performing for? And why? And what happens when someone tests you? When someone checks whether the person you claim to be matches the person you actually are when you think no one's watching? Can you pass your own test? Would you want to? These are the questions Seo-yeon carries with her now. These are the questions that keep her awake. These are the questions she doesn't have answers for. And maybe that's okay. Maybe not having answers is more honest than claiming you do. Maybe uncertainty is more real than conviction. Maybe, I don't know, is the most authentic thing anyone can say. Soul lights glitter below. Millions of masks. Millions of faces. Millions of people trying to be real in a world that rewards performance. Trying to be honest in a culture that demands presentation. Trying to be authentic while knowing authenticity itself might just be another performance. Seo-yeon looks at Keisha's face one more time. Touches the glass of the case. Thank you, she whispers. For showing me what I needed to see. For teaching me what I needed to learn. For being someone I'll never fully understand but will never forget. The mask doesn't answer. It just stares back with those tired eyes. Those weathered features. That face that isn't her face but became hers for 3 weeks. That identity she borrowed and returned. That experience she can never fully claim but can never fully escape. She turns off the office lights. Heads home. Tomorrow she has meetings. Decisions. The work of running an empire. The work of being a mother. The work of being human. But tonight, she just sits with the questions. With the complications. With the knowledge that she crossed lines and exposed truths and maybe became a little more real and a little more fake in the process. And somewhere in Seoul, Jasmine is probably sitting with her own questions. Her own complications. Her own masks and faces and performances. Maybe growing. Maybe not. Maybe both at once. That's the real ending. No resolution. No tidy moral. No clear lesson. Just people trying. People failing. People learning. People performing and being real and somehow doing both simultaneously. So here's the final question for you, watching this story unfold. Judging these characters. Taking sides. Posting comments. Sharing opinions. What mask are you wearing right now? What performance are you giving? What would someone discover if they tested you the way Seo-yeon tested Jasmine? Would you like what they found? Would you even recognize it as you? Think about it. Really think about it. Because we're all wearing something. We're all performing something. The only question is whether we're honest enough to admit it. If this story made you think, made you uncomfortable, made you question yourself and others, hit that subscribe button. Because the real stories, the ones that matter, aren't the ones with easy answers. They're the ones that haunt you. The ones that change you. The ones you can't stop thinking about days later. And if you want to see what happens next, if Jasmine's new non-profit succeeds, if Minho finds himself, if Seo-yeon makes peace with what she did, stay tuned. Because this story? It's not over. It's never over. Life doesn't end with a viral moment. It just keeps going, messier and more complicated and more real than any ending we could write. Thanks for watching. Thanks for thinking. Thanks for being willing to sit with complexity instead of rushing to judgment. The world needs more of that. More nuance. More willingness to see all sides. More acceptance that sometimes everyone's right and everyone's wrong at the same time. Until next time, keep questioning. Keep learning. Keep trying to be a little more real and a little less performed. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Because in the end, that's all any of us can do.